When we talk about functions, a lot of different terms get thrown around, such as injective, surjective, and bijective. What these are actually, they're basically just ways to classify different functions. So let's take a function that maps from this set to this set. So this set is called the domain, and this set is called the codomain. And let's say this function maps A to 1, and it maps B to 2, and it maps C to 3. So in this case, you'll notice that every element in the domain maps to exactly one element in the codomain. And every element in the codomain is mapped by exactly one domain in the domain. Exactly one element in the domain. So this is an example of a one-to-one function. So a one-to-one function is what we call an injective function. Now let's say D also mapped to 3. In that case, this wouldn't be injective anymore, because the element 3 in the codomain is being mapped to by two different elements in this set. So in this case, it would not be injective. But then if you didn't have this mapping from D to 3, this would be an example of an injective function. Now let's look at what a surjective function actually is. So a surjective function is basically one where every element in your domain maps to some element in your codomain, and every element in your codomain is mapped by some element in your domain. So let's see what that actually means. So let's say we take out 4, just for this example, and A maps to 1, and B maps to 2, and C maps to 3, and D maps to 3. So this is clearly not an injective function, but it's surjective, because every single element in the codomain is being mapped to by some element in the domain. But if we add the 4 back here, then this would not be a surjective function anymore, because the element 4 in this set is not being mapped to by any element in the domain. But if you take out 4, this is surjective. Now let's add 4 back in, and let's change the mapping from D to 3 to D to 4. So in this case, this is an injective function because all the mappings are one-to-one, A maps to 1, and so on. And it's also surjective because every element in this set is being mapped by some element in this set. So this is both injective and surjective, and this is what we call a bijective function. So a function is bijective only when it's both injective and surjective, meaning it has one-to-one mappings, and every element in the codomain is being mapped to by some element in the domain. So those are basically the 3 different ways to classify functions.